I was standing in the hallway, suitcase half-packed, when she dropped it like a bomb between us. 48 hours. That's all the time she gave me to leave. For good, she added, like the words themselves could erase months of shared life. I stared at her, trying to reconcile the woman who once whispered promises of forever with the woman who now looked at me as if I were a stranger occupying space she no longer wanted. Clara, what are you talking about? My voice cracked before I could stop it, disbelief cutting through the calm I tried to maintain. She didn't flinch. I said 48 hours, Mark. I'm done. I'm moving on with him. Her words hit harder than I expected. Him. That word felt like a jagged knife carving through everything I thought I knew about us. I sank into the nearest chair, the fabric rough against my skin, trying to find some anchor. My mind raced, bouncing between denial and the painful clarity that, yes, this was real. She was leaving me for another man. I wanted to scream, to beg, to plead, but something deeper than anger held me still. It wasn't just betrayal. It was a collapse of trust, the quiet death of every small moment we'd ever shared. Mark, I don't have time for this, she said, her tone almost rehearsed, like she practiced this exit in the mirror 1,000 times. You need to pack. Be gone by Sunday night. I nodded slowly, though inside my chest felt like it had been hollowed out. I went to our bedroom, opening drawers with trembling hands, pulling clothes from hangers, the mundane act of folding shirts and socks now a grim ritual of detachment. I tried to remember why I loved her once, the way her laugh could fill a room, the way her hand fit mine perfectly. But all of it was tainted now, each memory shadowed by suspicion. I left the house that night without saying a word. The city was quiet, streets slick with rain reflecting neon signs. I wandered, letting the cold wind cut through me, sharpening every ache in my chest. Somewhere between the streetlights and the hum of distant traffic, I realized I didn't just feel hurt. I felt betrayed at the deepest level, like the foundation of my life had been ripped out while I was asleep. The next morning, I found myself at the cafe where Clara and I used to meet for late breakfast. I sat in our corner booth, staring at my untouched coffee, watching couples drift in and out, smiling, laughing, oblivious. That's when I saw the text she had accidentally left open on her phone last night, a notification blinking at me from across the cafe. Can't wait to see you tonight. Love you. I froze. My mind spun through every detail of the past few months. Late nights at work she claimed were stressful deadlines. Random weekend trips she insisted were girls' retreats. The bills she'd paid herself. The evasive excuses for missing dinners. Every moment suddenly looked like a thread in a web I'd been too trusting to notice. I didn't know whether to confront her or retreat further into silence. I chose silence, watching her actions unfold, each one confirming the suspicion I had tried to dismiss. There was a meticulousness in her deception that made my stomach churn. Every lie carefully measured, every affection I thought genuine suddenly felt performative. By Friday, the tension had become unbearable. I followed her discreetly, keeping my distance, watching her meet him in the park by the river. They laughed, leaned into each other, a private world I was no longer invited to enter. My heart cracked with a strange mix of fury and grief, a storm of emotion I could barely control. That night, I returned home and stared at the clock. 48 hours. Her deadline was nearly up. I didn't sleep. I sat in the dark, listening to the quiet hum of the city outside, thinking of how I had once imagined growing old with her. Imagine trust, imagine love, imagine forever. And now imagine betrayal. Sunday came, and the house was eerily silent. Clara was out, presumably with him, and the thought made bow rise in my throat. I wandered into the living room, absent-mindedly picking up the letters she had once written me. Love notes, birthday cards, small things I cherished. I read one and felt my chest tighten. It wasn't just love that had been stolen. It was time, it was effort. It was my belief that we were building something unbreakable. And then something unexpected happened. I found her diary tucked behind a stack of books. I wasn't proud of reading it, but curiosity and a desperate need for understanding overrode my hesitation. As I flipped through the pages, a new picture emerged, one that complicated everything. Her affair wasn't just a fleeting temptation. It was a response to her own fear, her loneliness, her sense of being unseen. Each entry was raw, admitting doubt, fear, confusion, and even guilt. She didn't plan cruelty. She was searching for connection in a way she thought I couldn't give. The revelation didn't heal me, but it reframed the narrative. Betrayal was still betrayal, but humanized, messy, flawed. I felt a strange mixture of pity and anger, love and revulsion, swirling together in a storm I couldn't calm. By evening, she returned. I was in the kitchen, cleaning dishes, automatic movements, nothing more. She froze at the sight of me. "Mark, you packed?" she asked, tentative now, her confident armor cracked. I shook my head. "Not yet." Her lips pressed into a thin line, as if she expected an argument, an outburst. But I didn't give her one. Instead, I placed her diary on the counter. "I read this," I said softly. "I know everything." Her face paled, eyes wide, and for the first time in weeks, I saw fear, not just certainty. "Mark, You gave me 48 hours to leave." I interrupted, voice steady. "You thought you were in control. But control is an illusion, Clara. Actions have consequences. Betrayal isn't just a moment. It's a chain reaction." Tears welled in her eyes, and I realized she hadn't imagined this moment. She hadn't anticipated facing me like this, calm, unbroken in a way that made her tremble. And maybe that was a nightmare she hadn't seen coming. Me, fully present, fully aware, reclaiming the power she thought she held over me. I left the diary on the counter and walked to the door. I didn't slam it. I didn't yell. I simply turned the key in the lock, feeling the weight lift from my shoulders in a quiet, almost painful liberation. Outside, the night air was crisp, sharp, cleansing. I could hear her calling my name behind me, but I didn't look back. I didn't need to. As I walked down the street, the city lights glinting like distant stars, I realized something profound. Betrayal could not define me. Anger could not imprison me. Loss could not erase my own worth. Claire's actions were her own, shaped by fear and desire, but my response was mine. And in that quiet reclamation, I felt the first real pulse of freedom in weeks. She had given me 48 hours. I had left on my own terms, not out of fear, not out of defeat, but because I had finally understood the power of choice. And perhaps that, in the end, was the hardest truth she had to face. I survived a betrayal, stronger than she imagined, unbroken and unbound. The night swallowed the house behind me, the door clicking shut. I didn't look back. My heart ached, yes, but also beat with a stubborn rhythm of resilience. And somewhere deep inside, I knew that from this darkness, I could build something real again, something unshakable, something mine.